October 20th, 2020.
Conference will now be recorded.
And we'll go around and say our names. Councilmember John Adams is excused from this meeting. Tammy Tran.
Abby Hunt.
Jason Christensen, City Manager.
Mike Blackham, Council.
Miranda Nelson, Finance.
Anne Marie Flozier, City Recorder.
Nate Jackson, Council.
And Perry Oaks, happy BYU fan counselor.
Same, I'm happy doing. So for those who are listening remotely, thank you for participating with us. And we will start our meeting. I'll send it over to Jason to kick us off.
Well, thanks everybody. So I just wanted to do a quick snapshot of the overview of where we've been with property tax. First of all, I know a lot of people have seen this before, but this just shows the history of our rates going back the last 15 years. You can see around 2014, we saw an increase. That was a lot to do with the police station build. And then we've been pretty steady. So you'll see that as of 2025, FY 2025, which ended June 30th of this year, we were headed kind of back down. And that's about where we are still now that the truth in taxation was not approved for 2026. So this next slide. So this, as you can see, we're still the third lowest tax rate of the 15 cities in Davis County. And we have been on the low end for a long time. So I think this is just a reminder that the city as a whole over the years has done a pretty good job of keeping taxes low, operating lean and efficiently. And especially when you look at other cities, I think we've done a really good job of that.
So Jason, let me ask, and one reason you're able to do, because Davis County though, by raising the percentage from like 50% or 55% up to 65 or close to 70% of the valuation on property, they're able to glean more by doing it that way. I mean, David, but that was a county thing and not a city thing. Is that correct? I mean,
Are you talking just about when the assessed valuations increase?
the assessed valuation, the percentage that is assessed or that is taxable has increased over the last number of years. In Davis County, and I'm going by what I read in recently, is one of the highest in the states now.
Yeah, Davis County is one of the highest. In fact, interesting at the Legislative Policy Committee meeting today, they talked a little bit about just the nationwide trend of the concerns about property tax and the fairness issues and looking at other states. And, I think just not to get too far off, but, right now, Utah, there's a credit or a discount or whatever of the taxable value of a home. So your first primary residency is only taxed at 45% of its valuation. And, I guess I bring that up because the legislation seems to be continuing to change on property tax, and that might go in different directions. We don't know. But
Now, in this chart is as of fiscal year 2025 or 2024?
this is a fiscal year 2025. So through this most recent that ended June 30th of this year.
Right.
So does not include net. But if you did include this current year, FY 26, which ends next June 30th, it would really change. In fact, this does include that. Sorry.
Yeah, so property tax doesn't do fiscal years, it does 2025. So these are the rates that are due November 1st.
Oh, thank you, Marin.
Yeah.
So those are updated as of current today. And
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
yes,
Do we know, by chance, how many Davis County cities were allowed to go through with their truth in taxation?
none.
So none.
Right.
And Davis. Those are-
And in
Okay.
Davis.
Okay, thank you.
Not all of them attempted,
Yeah.
but Clearfield, West Point, Clinton, South Weaver, I can't remember all of them, but a number of them attempted and none of them did get approved.
Okay.
No one's received an exemption, to my knowledge, even though they filed appeals like we did.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
It's my understanding that all the cities in the county actually handled it the same way we did, and how we've always handled it. But the county, I wonder if it kind of slipped through the cracks at the county level. Typically, it's the county that will kind of help lead out with state policy.
Now,
So
it was kind of clarified today.
Yes,
This law was changed according to the people down there,
at the league,
the league,
Roger, too.
Roger. And this law has been in effect for more than 2 or 3 years. It was changed to
really?
legislation, but
There was one tweak.
nobody, was there one tweak?
The tweak was you had to post the cities.
Post cities, yeah, that tweak of posting the cities, but nobody was denied last year.
So
Yeah,
the,
this law was in effect last
so
year.
the state tax commission just wasn't enforcing it.
Right, exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
And we were told the legislature said you have, Senator Fillmore, said you have to enforce this law. Even though for the last probably at least 2 years,
At
they
least
haven't.
2, they
because
have
no one's
not.
been denied.
So why would it be on anybody's radar, really?
I mean, I think
Which
as
we-
in the past, we were substantially compliant. We put out notices, we held a hearing, we took comment, all those important things, but, you know, we'll pay obviously very close attention to this particular type of legislation next year and forevermore, but anyway, it is what it is. So we've got some really good news actually to report tonight. So Friday, so far, let me back up. When we've looked at our fund balance, we've only gone off of what we budgeted for fiscal year 25. So that we know that we budgeted last fiscal year to take about $1.1 million out of reserves. And that's all we've kind of known to this point. We've been waiting for the auditors to give us the more accurate picture. We still don't have the final audited number yet, but on, I guess it was what, Friday, Marin, you reached out to the auditors and asked them, hey, can you expedite a number to us? Just kind of give us something. And so they were able to give us a number
Oh, yeah.
today, and it actually surprised us quite a bit. And I don't even know, want to get into this one, or should we jump ahead real quick to
This one?
this one? Yeah. So this is our fund balance. So FY24, and I'm trying to remember, it was $7.7 million was our fund balance. And we had projected to use 1.1 million in 2025, bringing it down quite a bit.
Yeah.
What actually happened, according to the auditors, is we didn't see us use basically any of our fund balance this last fiscal year. We, in fact, are looking at increasing it by maybe 130,000. Those aren't final numbers yet, but our fund balance actually went from 7.7 million at the end of FY24 to maybe 7.8 million as of this last June 30th. So that's actually fantastic news. Some reasons for that.
Our new budget director.
Marin has done miracles already.
She funded a money tree and it grew.
A couple of things. I mean, for example, in FY25, we had budgeted for a new ambulance. The way our accrual system works, we don't actually show that we spent that money until the ambulance is delivered. So it wasn't delivered last fiscal year. It's supposed to be delivered next month in November, which means the expense will accrue this fiscal year. So that'll use up some of that. Also, some other little things that, you know, traditionally when the city has budgeted for its operating expenses, in particular, when we have budgeted for employee health insurance, for I think is forever, basically, as far as back as I know, we have always assumed that every employee who's eligible for family coverage would take family coverage. In reality, that's probably maybe 80% of employees. But for simplicity, we just assume if you're eligible for employee coverage, or sorry, for family coverage, you're going to get budgeted as taking family coverage. In reality, a lot of people just take single coverage or an employee plus spouse or something like that, which is a little bit less. So over the years, we kind of not had to spend as much as budgeted on some things like that. We're going to change that going forward. We're going to try to get it more accurate. We're not going to go and try to figure out every single employee because that changes constantly. But we can look at our trend and say, you know, if 80% of our employees are using family coverage, let's assume 80% are, and budget the rest as if they're using something less like employee plus spouse or something. So we'll try to fine tune some of those projections to make it more accurate. But
Go back to this one.
yeah, so this is just showing what actually happened. last fiscal year. So the red shows where we're over budget, and the black, anything in black, which is obviously most of the departments, were under budget, including capital outlay, which some of that's at ambulance, so we're $253,000 under budget in capital outlay. But all in all, we're doing pretty good. And I think this is a good sign in general because it shows, we've always seen this, but our department heads do not have a use it or lose it mentality. If they've got money, they're trying to turn that back in. That's not always the case in some places I've seen where there's this mentality, oh, I better use it so that I don't get cut next year. But we have not seen that. And that's gone on for years, that I think the departments have been very good about turning money back and not just spending it because they've got it.
So with that money that's saved, can they, I know we kind of talked on the phone, put it into a capital savings plan or something, right? Or separate account? Or just
Yeah.
earmark it for future projects and stuff?
So
Back
I
in the general fund.
I think
know
as
those
far
guys
as,
are
yeah,
fun, but-
that's a great question, Mayor. I think that is a good plan personally, that if we've got a lot of reserves, you should just hang on to that money for no reason. But if we've got upcoming big capital projects, I think it's not a bad idea at all to be able to put that money away as a savings. If we've got, for example, a big fire station that we need to pay for,
Right.
if we've got the money, let's put that in a savings account and reduce the burden on residents when that expense comes up. We know we've got some big infrastructure projects coming up with, the op center needs, the fire station potentially. Josh is working on a master streets plan that should be ready by next spring or summer. That'll tell us kind of what we should be putting in our streets. We know that especially on the east side of town, there's a lot of needs for probably maintaining those streets. And so as we get a better picture of what our infrastructure needs are, yeah, that's not a bad idea to be putting some money aside for those projects.
So the council, what put us, so we're over?
Do you recall that, Maureen?
I'm just curious, what,
Your guys's $100, like the vehicle allowance wasn't budgeted for. Remember we caught that
oh, really?
That's right.
this year 26, so we added that.
Oh, that's weird. $100 for reimbursements, so we don't have to turn in mileage reports. We did a vehicle reimbursement. Well, we've had it for a couple of years.
Yeah, I just caught when I was doing the budget for fiscal year 26, it
it
wasn't
wasn't
included in
included.
the calculation.
Oh, really?
I know for mine, just to be accountable, we didn't properly budget for the telephone expense, so that'll get fixed, but,
Okay.
Telephone and internet, yeah,
internet,
how
yeah.
it's being dispersed among departments.
And
Yeah, I kind of looked at the high dollar ones like police, it was mainly employee benefits. I think about 350,000 was employee benefits.
Wow, that's a lot.
Public works,
Benefits meaning what, overtime?
insurance, health insurance, the
It wasn't
HSA.
budgeted?
Well, like Jason was saying, how we budget for family plan for every
Oh,
full-time
okay, so
employee.
it was overestimated?
Over budget.
Black is over.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So they were under,
And
okay.
fire,
So-
the overrun and fire,
Yeah.
Yeah, fire was over, that's a little misleading, so they did the pure fire support, so we spent 111,000 with that, but we got 139,000. So really, they're over about 140, and that's like fuel, equipment maintenance, like all of those for those big vehicles.
Is any of
We
that
saw the price
the 911
skyrocket.
money, part of that?
Yeah, but we did a budget amendment for that, so
You did?
it was captured there.
Interesting. Okay.
so all in all, got a pretty good picture for what happened last year. So just kind of overarching why we're here tonight, I guess. It's just, I know we're not gonna get into next year's budget. We just don't have that kind of knowledge yet of where inflation's gonna go next year, where health insurance is gonna come in and all these other things, sales tax revenue projections. So, but all in all, I think we're looking pretty darn good for this current year, knowing that we've got a healthy reserve. We're good for this year, to use that reserve. And I think, Randy, if you want to go back to that slide that shows the projection, yeah. So this is kind of projecting where we think we might end up as of the end of FY26, meaning next June 30th of 2026. knowing that we're gonna use a lot of reserve to make up for what we didn't get in truth and taxation, we probably will see a pretty significant decline in our reserve. Again, that's just projected, so.
But still expected to be right around a little over 5 million.
Yeah.
Right. So which is what is above the threshold that we're told.
Threshold's about 4, right?
Correct, about
4.3,
4.1,
yeah.
4.2 or something around there, yeah.
But this is assuming that we do truth and taxation next year with the same amount, if not more, right?
So FY #26 would just be this current year.
Okay.
And then the next year, FY '27, which is, we're gonna get into FY '27
Okay.
next June, January,
Right,
February.
okay.
And that's when we'll have to figure out, all right, what should we be planning on truth and taxation wise to not have to dip into this.
Because your
continually.
starting point almost has to be what we weren't allowed this year.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's my
That's what was
That would be
frustrating
great.
to me. 'cause I
And
think-
Darren, if you want to turn to that slide that shows what that truth and taxation, so this shows what we were going to take out of, or what we are taking out of fund balance this year in FY '26. And all these are kind of one-time expenditures. We always say one-time expenditures, which I think is a little bit of a misnomer because yes, these particular projects are one-time, but there's always going to be one-time expenditures.
Yeah,
So-
that's not salary. That's not salary, that's not benefits.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, you know, so your vernacular is appropriate.
Right.
Right. This other slide, so this is the 1.795 million that was going to be put on truth and taxation this year, which in reality now this will all be coming out of fund balance. But these are your ongoing operating costs that we're gonna see every single year, the gift that keeps on giving, as some people call it. So that's your employee costs, your operating costs.
So the inflation, the operation, and I apologize for interrupting so much.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So that inflation, that is because of inflation the previous year. This is what we believe, you know, the costs are going to be in operations expenses. That's why we budgeted that way.
Yes.
But if inflation goes down, that 4/16 really is the variable.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, because inflation is a lot less now than it was.
What percent were you guesstimating that?
Well, that was just based on feedback
Sort
from
of actuals, I mean.
It-
what-
yeah, based on 25 actuals and estimates from department heads, like how fire chief was talking about a turnout is now 7,000, we used to be 2,000,
Yeah,
right?
so it's
we-
looking at line items and looking at, yeah, what's turnout gear costing now? What's fuel costing now?
Right,
It's not a uniform
yeah, we
number
didn't do a
across the board.
percentage, yeah.
So you don't,
Correct.
okay, so probably not gonna go, and we just won't know, but it probably won't go down from that.
Those are technically actual numbers they're saying that's gonna cost them, so that should not go
Yeah.
down.
Okay,
So that's about a 20, what was the percentage we ended up with, 25%?
Truth and taxation as a whole is about 27%
27%.
yeah.
increase. So this, then again, this is the kind of stuff that we think is pretty sure that we're obviously gonna see all this next year. And so that's where we think we should probably plan on next year being around that same truth and taxation number as a baseline, just to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up not to pay for the ongoing costs going forward.
Yeah.
What's personnel expenses at 717? What does that include? If it's not COLA and.
It is, it's
Oh, it
COLA,
is? Okay,
COLA,
so-
merit, the health insurance
Oh, okay.
increase. I
Okay.
just called out the 2 new positions
Okay.
since we had talked about those so
Okay.
much.
All right.
Good question. So, again, I know right now we're so early, this is like in college sports when it's 6 months away from kickoff or opening day and people are, what's your way too early projections of where the team's gonna end. This is kind of like that. We don't really know because we've got so many variables that are gonna change between now and next spring when we get into the budget. But I think the takeaway overall tonight is we're in good shape this year to rely on fund balance. We just need to know that since we didn't do truth and taxation or didn't get truth and taxation this year, we should expect that we're gonna have to deal with that next year. And what that number looks like, we'll know a little bit more 6 months from now. So,
Okay, so we didn't do it this year, we didn't do it last year. We did it the year before those slightly, right? And we didn't
No,
do
it's
it.
pretty big.
Oh, 2 years ago. Yeah. it was
23, yeah.
150.
600,000, about 600,000.
So it was like a 12%.
Because we didn't do it the first,
We didn't do it.
like my
Yeah,
first year
22
on
to
the council,
23.
we did do it, yeah.
Okay.
Looks like it's the.
So with having more than we expected this year, in the fund balance, do we feel like that'll translate over to next year? Like, do we feel like next year
It
we might
might,
have to adjust what we think we're going to have to raise?
you mean, since we didn't see it dip into fund balance this year, could that be this case
Yeah,
next
like,
year?
is that a trend or?
It could be, for some of it. I think for the 950,000 that was budgeted, you know, for this current year, we also assumed everyone would sign up for family plans,
Oh,
which
right,
again,
we're adjusting
80%
that
probably is more the reality. So there's probably a little bit of that.
Yeah, but of that 250 is the ambulance cost, that will hit, so realistically, your 900 is like 650-ish,
Yeah, good math.
so,
651.
in public.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, that the money that was supposed to be put on truth and taxation that is now coming out of fund balance, that's pretty real too. But again, we'll know more in 6 months, kind of where we're actually looking. I mean, it's just hard to project it right now.
So really the purpose of this meeting is to prepare us that next budget cycle, we should be planning mentally on the same kind of tax.
Correct.
That the starting point has to be where, that the starting point, and it could easily be more.
Yes, I think that's the conversation, right? We just need to make sure we understand that.
Correct. That's exactly right. We've got,
Hopefully it's not that high, for sure, but.
I hope so. I mean, I think, you know, it could be a little lower, but it's not gonna be like we can just say, hey, let's do 2% truth and taxation next year. I think it's gonna be fairly significant because we have a gymnasium, we've got 2 new positions, we've got other costs that have increased due to inflation. And so it'll be, you know, it'll be a little bit more. And I think as a baseline, we should assume, let's continue to obviously fund what we budgeted this year, that it's ongoing, and then we'll figure out.
Okay, one point of clarification I just wanted to ask about is, as far as I'm aware, we voted to approve the gym. We voted to approve the field house, right? So next year, when we go through this whole truth and taxation process again, that's
It's
not
not
a
a vote.
question, right?
It's not a vote, it's
We
already been a
we
vote.
already voted, we already told the school district, okay.
I mean, that's
I
a
just wanna-
Nick
I just wanna
question, you know,
confirm
but,
that.
you know,
That we're all in agreement that that's what we did, because I had one of the candidates said, you know, we should really have that discussion. I said, no, we already voted, we already passed that, the
Yeah.
field house is gonna be built.
Yeah.
And he said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I was there.
I think-
Are you sure? I felt.
The thing that makes that so important is we committed to that. And so the district has started those costs.
I know,
You
I
can't
know.
back out.
Well, and the plans.
Yeah.
Yes,
Then-
yes,
Because what they would have to go back,
I know.
redesign,
yes,
and in reality,
Yes.
that should be on our dime.
Yeah, I
yes,
could see us
yes,
having to pay.
100%. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I agree. I think
They'll just raise
So we are
taxes
clear,
to cover
we
those
are
costs.
clear that we made that decision. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
And there are some little things that will have to be approved along the way, like we'll have to have a MOU agreement
Yes.
with the school on usage and things like that. But as far as the actual construction, yes, the green light's been given.
Yes. okay.
They've spent hundreds of thousands in design and engineering,
Okay,
and
just
are
wanted
planning to
make sure, yes.
put that out to bid a couple months. So, but yes, good question.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, guys. Just want to make sure that that was clear for everybody.
Cole will be relieved. I think and I have to say,
I'll be relieved too. You know how many years we spent repairing that relationship?
Well,
It's been quite a few.
and I understand your question, because on Thursday night, I think the question was raised, is this still something we want to go forward?
Right,
Yeah.
And, but we'd already voted on it,
yes.
Yeah,
and so,
Okay,
good to clarify that.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you, everyone.
that's
Okay.
and you know, you think of all the time, I mean, the hours and hours that are spent, much more by staff, you know, but then by us as well, going through all the deliberations last year
Right,
that we voted on.
yes.
So, what, you know, I don't know that's why I think it needs to be the starting point and everybody understands.
Yes.
And we will do what we can this year out of the fund balance. And the department heads have to, you know, they understand and they're looking
Yeah.
at it and they'll save where they can.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that should be an ongoing, and it is, I think, where it's like, regardless of where we are, we always want to be as efficient as we can be, and there are a lot of things that we're looking at. We have looked at and we continue to look at and do. There were a couple of staffing positions where we got creative and were able to avoid, hiring a new person in a couple of instances because we were able to eliminate another position. There's other examples where we're exploring ideas like that to operate more efficiently, and we'll continue to do that regardless of the situation. And I think, again, going back to the very beginning, the city has done great in being conservative and in keeping our rate low. And so we want to try to continue to be as efficient as possible. And
But we have did I hear correctly that the bid on the cremation part of the cemetery came in
Yes.
about 50,000 lower than
40,000 something, yeah, lower.
Okay,
Yeah,
but were you questioning whether we go through with that? Because I thought, again, that's one of those things that I thought we decided that we need to press with this. So
Yes, we did.
Yes, and so I think where last week, is kind of having some conversations, it sounded like, boy, if we're not committed to continuing a healthy truth in taxation, or a healthy fund balance, I should also kind of say, then we need to be careful. Like, if we needed to do some emergency things and cut some things out of this year's budget, if we were headed down that road, I think everything might be on the table. But it sounds like everyone's saying, continue with what we've planned on, and we're committed to funding.
what it comes down to
all that.
realistically is Mike's one vote trumped us all. And
And then,
no, but to that point, to that point, we're okay. We're $1 million over what the minimums are recommended, and we'll be okay.
We will be okay, and I do appreciate the wisdom in what you're saying. I will make a plug for, if we were just consistently doing this, it wouldn't be a big number to
Yeah.
begin
Right.
with.
Yeah.
So
And I agree with that.
okay, so that's just been my thing. Just be consistent with it.
I agree with,
Be predictable with it, slow
and
roll.
I honestly, I won't be here, but I think every single year, truth and taxation should happen, whether we do anything or not.
you know what though, Perry, the more we kind of learned today, the more that they're afraid you do truth in taxation.
Yeah.
And you do it on a regularly every year basis, you're gonna see the laws change. Because people.
And so the legislature,
become more strict,
the
or-
legislature doesn't want
That's
to
why
see.
that's why there's absolutely no inflation in the actual truth and taxation. Because they
Yes.
want you to go back to your city every time you ask for more money and let it be in a public meeting and out in the public.
Okay.
And if you're gonna start saying you're gonna give automatic inflation, or you're gonna just automatically do truth and taxation every year, I think you'll see a lot of pushback. We don't know that for sure,
No, no.
but it's.
Interesting.
No, I think that's true, but I think that's where cities need to push back, like the water fee that they're trying to increase. We already test our water. We don't need the state to also hire people to test water. They did a survey for a water survey to do something else with water, which would be for like an average home in Kaysville would be $75 more a month.
A month?
A month.
Seriously?
Yes, it's another survey that they've done, they haven't implemented it yet. So there are some things and fees that the state doesn't have to go through any sort of public process to get
Yeah.
approved, but yet they want to smash us
Yeah.
because we're trying to recover costs for infrastructure and the demands that they're putting on us. So I just think, I understand what
It
you're
was the
saying.
big reason why,
But we
why
need to-
valuations of homes
We need to push back.
has nothing to do with your taxes.
And it,
You get a certain amount of money every
Yeah.
year. Now your
Yeah.
inflation may inflate the cost of your house, but if your city gets so much money, that's all they're gonna get next year. Now, your neighbors may change a little. Your neighbor's house is worth more. They may pay a little more than you did if but the city as a whole is gonna get the exact same amount of money. And that was one of the reasons
yeah,
why
yeah.
they do that. And so
It's totally unfair. I think it's unfair.
it's
Interesting.
probably the most transparent way to do it though.
But it's an unfair way. It's an unfair way to tax residents, half of which right now, not half, but quite a few that don't have homes that they own, that aren't paying their fair share of property. And for people who work hard to pay their house off, That's unfair.
Yeah.
So I think we need to figure out how to fix that. That's really highly annoying, and it bugs me that the state can get away with just cramming stuff down and just blaming us, and we're supposed to come up with money.
Is any indication the league's gonna push back against the state on that $75 per house?
Well, so it's just a survey. It's a survey, and that's on a house like $600,000 house
Okay.
in Kaysville, which was more the average than 400, because our average houses are a little bit more expensive. So that's a survey that was study that was done, so it's not a law yet, but they come up with stuff all the time.
Yeah,
So
Hmm.
anyway, but I get your point where you're saying we shouldn't abuse the truth and taxation
Right.
ability. I'm saying we need to at least do something in our city that's consistent, so that we don't have these huge ebbs and flows for people, because it's not fair to do that.
No.
Especially where we're gonna have to do it 2 years in a row. Even though they're not getting hit twice, people will assume you did it.
They're
3
getting
down the
doubled,
road.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so.
I think the ultimate barometer, well, not the ultimate, but one barometer is to look at how we compare to other cities and, you know, I hope we continue to compare relatively well. What scares me the most is all the infrastructure costs, and not just infrastructure, but everything from fire department gear and, you know, tornadic gear and stuff like that to water line replacement costs have not just gone up, but gone up many more times
Yeah,
the average
factors,
inflation.
factors.
Right, like you're seeing those things sometimes double and triple in cost, some of these things over the last few years. Yeah, it's really kind of scary how fast.
I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday, because when I was leaving here 5 or 6 years ago, we were estimating the cost of the fire station was gonna be roughly around $6-7 million. The estimate now is $16 million.
Ridiculous.
So that's 5 years, 5 or 6 years. That's the change. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
The
That's
house
just-
value hasn't gone up that much.
No.
And they
no.
can't keep going at that pace. It has to, something has to.
Something has to give, yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like that's predatory on cities, or what's going on there?
It's just the general supply chain, the stuff that's happening throughout the economy with, you know, the cost of materials
COVID.
and.
We're just
I don't know why
paying it.
COVID.
COVID just blew up the world, right?
Blew up the world.
When people realize, oh, people will pay it. We just got used to paying it.
Everybody thought people would save money during COVID, and all they did was spend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're just gonna print some more.
Yeah, so that's really all we wanted to talk about tonight. I feel like,
Okay, so
yeah,
I wanted to at least say that, you know, yes, I was the dissenting vote, but it was never really against, I was against the entire everything all in once. I would have been okay with just doing a power and water increase, or doing a tax increase. But when it all became too much. So now what this has done for me, even though it's not what you guys wanted, but it has for me, it's increased the power and water fees for this year, and it should do our tax increase next year. So it's gonna stretch out the bull, is what I would say, make it so it gives people an opportunity to catch up to their budget. I'm okay with it now. But if you come to us in next budget season, I'm gonna say right now, and you start adding a whole bunch of new employees and a whole bunch of stuff that were not on this tax increase, that's gonna get me frustrated, and I might be back where I was. Right now, I'm not. Right now, I'm in agreement that this is what we need to do. But I think it's really important that all the department heads, which I'm sure they do, know where we're at. They need to come in at budget or under budget. That to me is their responsibility, and there should be no reason why they go over budget. And if they do, there should be a really good explanation from you as the city manager to us why they did that. So everybody just needs to watch their pocketbook this year. We actually need to operate on a true budget this year and not go over it. And I think it's important that that message gets out to the departments, and it should be their responsibility to understand we're going to be a little tighter this year, not as tight as we thought, but a little tighter. We need to stay in our budgets, and we need to not be doing things that are going to increase the budget tremendously. And we should be probably looking if with the tax increase, and probably should include something to do with the inflation of next year, 2026 inflation. But anything above and beyond that, and you should include and count in that new growth. If we get 1% new growth, that 1% new growth should be counted in there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's all I'm asking is let's
I 100% agree, and, you know, we have conversations almost every day with department heads when expenditures come up, and we look at, you know, is this, you know, how did this come in? Is it under budget? Is it a need? And sometimes things come up that weren't budgeted. In fact, this morning I was talking to Ryan about, we've had these audio visual problems in the council chambers where all of a sudden people are listening to a planning commission meeting and it drops, and we're trying to figure out what's happening. And, you know, so it looks like we're gonna spend a couple thousand to map out what's going on there and getting to the heart of that. And that was not an expenditure that was budgeted, but it's also one of those things that we can't have our online video being dropped, you know, in the middle of a meeting. And so, but everything gets looked at and weighed and vetted. And I feel like the department heads take that very seriously. And, but yes, you're absolutely right.
Well, in talking to Jason, I appreciate, he said he's gonna go back for Duran and they're gonna look at more actual numbers than budget, you know, because we're being super conservative, which is good, but you don't have to maybe budget at the top of the scale, you know, because not everybody's gonna get there.
Right.
So, so I think that'll make a difference too.
And I think that we're finding out that our carryover is much more healthy than what you had originally anticipated. And it usually does come in healthier, but you don't count on it till you have it.
Right.
And we have it.
Right.
And we have been very fiscally responsible, which is the reason we can weather this, which is nice. So, and the county's raising taxes this year, 30%, so.
But I also do think we got duped by the tax
We did.
commission.
I think so too.
Especially where the law has been that way and this did not come out.
Yeah.
And
Mike, I appreciate your comments too, because I agree with you. I think we need to be careful going into this next year. And Perry, you're right. Our starting point will be what we need to make up.
So
Okay, all
we'll
right.
hopefully not have to think about the budget for a couple months until we get into February or so, but
I live and breathe that.
you just go from budget to audit and then right back to budget season. It's never ends.
You guys, thank you. We have such a great council. I am gonna be so sad when it changes.
Still time, Barry.
It's way past.
It's all good things, but just so
Lord,
appreciate you guys.
I don't need to go.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, any other comments?
That's all
or-
there. Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
do we need a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you,
Amen.
everyone.
Hold on, let me.
Amen.